Pacific in 1956, and spent a lot of years here through the programs. I was lucky enough to teach at Terra for some time. But I was thinking about what to say about Jim. You know, one thing about him as a brother, I noticed he has a trait that the other 125 athletes, coaches, administrators, etc. have, plus the 4 tonight, which is they have a certain drive and determination, and they also have a very competitive spirit. And so I want to just give a couple of examples of that for Jim and how I think he exemplifies that as well. Since he's the younger of 3 brothers, he was sort of almost forced to go into sports because one of his older brothers, Jack, was one of the first senior athletes, outstanding senior athletes at Terra in 1964. Excuse me, 1965. He played in baseball and basketball. And Jim entered Terra High School and was of the class of '67. He played baseball. His coaching, I just mentioned quite quickly, his coaches in Terra Nova were Rich Burt and Don Delbon. And Don is here tonight. Rich wanted to be here tonight, but Rich is on a cruise. I don't think it's Carnival, but he's on a cruise anyway. Yes, he gets back later on tonight, hopefully. But he wanted to be here and say congratulations to Jim. He had a couple of accomplishments, which I think signals him as an outstanding athlete over 50+ years of school. First of all, he was the Player of the Year in the North Peninsula League, and for 3 decades that was not repeated by a Terra Nova athlete. He also was one of the league leading scorers in the school's history, and also in the history of the league. And this is at a time when most incoming athletes did not play basketball as sophomores; they played junior and senior year. So Jim was able to do those things because of his, I think, because of his drive and his competitive spirit. One thing that showed me, he wanted to be he wanted to stand out as a player. He was about a 6-foot guard, and he wanted to play as much as he could above the rim. So he started working very hard before he even entered high school to get himself in condition. And he was one of the first guards, and I was involved with basketball for a long time. He was one of the first guards that I ever saw who could dunk the basketball at 6 foot. Wow. And he would not put on a show, but people were surprised when they saw that. And it wasn't until a couple of years afterwards that they banned the dunking out of the college game. But Jim it showed me the competitive spirit to be the best guard he could be, and also to get in condition to be a leader. He was lucky enough to he got a scholarship at Gonzaga. A legendary coach named Bud Presley came down and offered him a scholarship without seeing him. He hadn't seen Jim play. And he told Jim, he says, what we'll do is, as your guard, and since we're not sure, we haven't seen you play at all, we'll offer you a scholarship which involves work-related duties too. You have to work at the cafeteria, I think is where it was. And he says, but if you make the first 6 players, you'll get a full scholarship right in the middle of that first semester. Well, Jim, his first comment was, Coach, not only am I going to be the first 6, I'm going to start for you, and which Bud Presley loved that kind of confidence. And sure enough, it didn't take long. Jim was starting, and he was the captain during his school years at Gonzaga. Was one of the fine players. And just out of a firm pride for me as a brother, Bud Presley is probably one of the iconic defensive minds in basketball. He coached a little bit at college, but mostly at the high school level, and coaches all over the country know who Bud Presley is. And he had a certain personality, and he said to me that Jim is the toughest kid he ever coached. All the years he coached for almost 50 years, he had the most competitions. He used the term heart of a lion, but he says he's the guy that I can depend on. And it was very flattering because Jim was long past gone Gonzaga. He didn't say it, but he made that comment. I thought that really was telling. He had a very good college career. He went from there, he coached the varsity golf team for a while at Gonzaga. He was also on the coach for the JV basketball team up at Gonzaga. He went into the field of finance and has been very successful there. And I think all these things are emblematic of the fact that he had to have those things, just like the other individuals in this Sports Club Hall of Fame have the same kinds of things. I just want to tell one quick story that has nothing to do with basketball, but it sort of shows Jim's approach to things as far as competition and drive and competitiveness, that kind of stuff. When we were very young, my mom was tired of the dental bills that she was seeing. We were getting dental bills. I was 12, and one brother was 9, and Jim was 7. So she went to us, she said, look, if you guys stop chewing bubble gum, chewing gum, I will give you 50 cents a week extra, just so you'll do that. Well,